householder is Sister Tammy Janess. Sister Como, and I have to tell you ahead of time, volunteered for this. And what she's going to do is to help us to appreciate a thought that's important for all of us to remember why God did not destroy Satan promptly after he rebelled. Sister Como?
Hi, Avalon. I'm so happy you came back to see me today. I've been thinking about you and I have a question for you. Why didn't God destroy Satan after his rebellion?
Well, Tammy, that's a great question. We can start by turning to the first book of the Bible, Genesis. Are you familiar with the account of Adam and Eve?
Yes, I learned about that story in Sunday school a long time ago. And when I would go to my church, and God told them not to eat, that they can eat from any tree but a certain one, but they didn't listen to him.
That's correct. Now let's focus on the things that led up to Adam and Eve's sin. This relates to your question. Would you please read Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 5?
Okay. Now the serpent was the most cautious of the wild animals of the field that Jehovah God had made. So it said to the woman, "Did God really say that you must not eat from every tree of the garden?" At this the woman said to the serpent, "We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but God has said about the fruit of the trees that is in the middle of the garden, you must not eat from it. No, you must not touch it, otherwise you will die." At this the serpent said to the woman, "You certainly will not die, for God knows that in the very day you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and bad."
Thank you. Now let's look at these verses. First, notice that Satan asked Eve about God's command about the certain tree. Did you notice what God had said the punishment would be if Adam and Eve ate from it?
That they would die.
That's right. Then with his very next words, he accused God of something. Notice what he said. You certainly will not die. So Satan was calling God a liar.
I've heard that story before, but I never heard that part of the story.
And when Satan called God a liar, he raised an issue that would require time to settle. Can you see why?
I'm not sure.
Well, maybe I can illustrate it this way. Let's say one day I approach you and I say that I'm stronger than you are. How can you prove me wrong?
I suppose with some kind of test.
Exactly. Maybe we would choose a heavy object and see which one of us can lift it. This is actually proving who is stronger. That's pretty straightforward, don't you think?
Yes, it is.
But what if I say I'm more honest than you? That's a different matter, isn't it?
Yes, it's not something like strength, but it could be just a simple test.
The only way to settle this challenge would require to let time pass for others to really see who is more honest.
That makes sense.
Now look again at the scripture in Genesis. Satan claimed to be more honest than God. In other words, he said to Eve that God is lying to you.
Interesting.
God knew that the best way to settle this challenge would to let time pass. Eventually it would be clear who was telling the truth and who was lying.
But as soon as Eve died, wouldn't that prove that God was telling the truth?
In a way, but there was more to Satan's challenge. Look again at verse 5. Do you notice what Satan told Eve?
He says, God knows that in the very day you eat from it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and bad.
So Satan was saying that God was holding something back from humans.
I see your point.
And that too was a major challenge.
What do you mean?
By his words, Satan was saying that people would be better off without God's kingdom. So God has allowed Satan to rule the world for a time.
That explains why there's so much suffering today.
Yes, because Satan, not God, is ruling over this world.
Thank you so much for explaining this to me. You have such a nice way of doing that.
You're welcome. Maybe I can come back another time and show you some more scriptures for this topic.
I would appreciate that.